Hello everyone, my name is Luke, aka Mr. Rage, and welcome back to another one of my discussion videos. I hope you guys are doing okay out there in the world, because it's important that you actually stay okay out in the world these days, because things today in the world are kind of shitty. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope you guys are surviving out there. And yes, this is going to be another one of a bit of a darker discussion video, because we are going to be talking about a much more serious topic once again. In my previous video I made earlier today, we talked about digital ownership. In today's video, I am going to be talking about my own concerns with this country, because I do have a lot of concerns. So I guess you can say that this video may be a bit more about me, but it's also about how others have been struggling and how others may also have the same view that I do. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Oh, America. Pretty much my home, just like it's your guys' home. And, you know, it's sad actually, because they used to call America the land of opportunity, not just for the fact that America was an opportunity for success, but I feel like this country used to give people an opportunity for more than just success. I feel like America truly was once a place where you can have anything you want, you can do anything you want. It was a place where you can come to make whatever dream you had come true. And I guess that's why they would sometimes call it the American dream. And although once upon a time, the American dream was something that anyone can get if they put in enough hard work and enough dedication, nowadays, there are only a small amount of people who may still have the American dream. And those people are the ones who can afford it. And the ones who cannot afford it, there is not an American dream for those who cannot afford it. It doesn't exist, and it probably never will. And that's the most depressing thing about modern America. The rich will continue to get richer, and the middle class will continue to eventually become more and more poor. And then the poor, the ones who are already poor, those are the ones who will continue to struggle until the day that they are laid to rest and they are given peace. And that is very, very depressing. And I know that this is definitely going to turn off some viewers, you know, because of all this dark and grim shit that I've been talking about on my channel, including this very video that you're watching. But this is the truth. And although the truth sometimes can be so painful that you don't even want to hear it, lying about it is not going to make the truth any less painful than it would be hearing the truth. So I understand that making all these dark and grim videos is not going to make anyone feel better about the current situation, but unfortunately, this is the truth, and this is reality. And trying to ignore reality just because you don't want to face it, it's not going to make the problems of reality go away. It's just going to make it worse, actually. So I'm sorry for all these dark and grim videos, but this is reality. This is the truth. What I talk about in my videos, in these discussion videos, is the truth. But anyways, let's dive a bit deeper onto why is it that America is so shitty these days. Well, first of all, it all comes down to two things, and that is one, the economy, and that is two, the job market. Now, right now, inflation is still a little too high for a lot of people, and the reason for that is because of the jobs that people have, you know, pretty much the workforce, I guess you can say. It seems like these days jobs are just not paying enough to help us deal with the high inflation that this country currently has right now. And you know, if you go on the news or Google News or whatever, it'll say that the economy is booming and The U.S. economy is doing great and all that good shit, but inflation is still here. Inflation is still a problem. And I understand that there are more things that people can do to make more money, like they could invest in the stock market or crypto or all those other things, but I feel like for some people that might just be a little too much. Some people like me, for example, like I don't want to have to do all that. Like I just want to have a normal job, and I feel like a majority of other Americans probably want the same thing. A lot of other Americans probably don't want to invest in stocks and do all that other complicated bullshit. I'm sure a lot of other people also, like me, just want to have a normal job. And the thing about the workforce, like I'm saying, is it seems like people are just not making enough money to afford barely anything these days. But it all comes down again to inflation. Things these days are just way too much money. It's not just food, right? People think it's just grocery that has gotten too expensive, but really and truly, it's actually everything. Inflation has impacted every form of shopping, whether it's food, basic necessities, or just other things that you don't even need, like clothes and electronics and, all kinds of other stuff. Like everything these days has gotten extremely expensive. And this is all due to inflation. And I understand that the feds are trying to get it down with their methods of, increasing mortgage rates and shit like that. But the thing about increasing mortgage rates is that's not going to help people who already have a high mortgage on their home. You've got people out there who are already paying for a high mortgage as well as inflation. And now the feds are raising our mortgage rates, which is putting even more pressure on those who already have a high mortgage rate. And now they're just going to be even higher. And those people are still going to be dealing with high inflation. Because even though the feds are increasing the rates, the mortgage rates and all that, it's not going to decrease inflation like that fast. It's going to take a while, Raising interest rates and mortgage rates and things like that, it's going to take a while for it to actually start effectively lowering inflation. So for all those people out there who already have like a high mortgage rate on their home or their business or anything else, I really don't think it's going to help that much in the long run. Or maybe in the long run, but, I feel like this country needs to do a better job at doing something to lower inflation, because right now it is killing a lot of people. It is hurting a lot of people. The fact that you have to struggle just to be able to afford your basic food and water and everything else, that's very, very unfortunate. And I feel like that is a very big problem in this country, because there should never be a moment in this country where Americans should need to struggle so much just for their basic necessities. Another thing about inflation that makes inflation worse is also rent. A lot of people these days don't really own homes, because we'll talk about the housing crisis in a moment, but a lot of people these days also don't really own homes. People rent these days. And another thing about, like I just said, something that actually makes inflation worse is high rent. So think about this. You've got people out there who are working over 40 plus hours a week, and they are still struggling just to be able to afford basic necessities like food, grocery, and then things like rent, because rent is also extremely high these days. And again, talking about the workforce and how jobs are these days, I understand that, a lot of companies have been like increasing their minimum wage for their employees. And, while that's kind of a good thing, it's still not enough, because people out there are still struggling. And that's my biggest concern with the state of this country. It's like everywhere you go, you hear the same shit. People are struggling to pay rent. People are struggling with inflation. People are struggling with their savings. And it's all just starting to really get to me. I mean, even people who are significantly more wealthier than others, like the middle class, are still struggling with how much the economy has changed for the worse. So even like even if wealthy Americans are struggling, then you know that this country has a serious fucking problem. Because these are people who are more wealthier than the middle class. The middle class are the ones who are making a basic salary, and that basic salary is not even enough to cover basic necessities like groceries and rent and other things like bills, even like, healthcare bills and stuff like that, insurance. But now you've even got wealthy Americans who are making significantly more than the middle class, and even they're struggling somewhat. I mean, they may be struggling less, but it just really proves to you that this country has a huge problem when it comes to affordability and the financials of the Americans that live in this country. Because, financially, Americans are just not doing good, and it's not even their fault. Like, some will say that maybe they're just not saving their money right, or they're spending their money too much, or they're spending their money stupidly, but no. How could they even get a chance to spend their money stupidly if literally everyone's salary goes on rent and grocery? Like, people don't even have enough money to spend after they've paid for all these things. And people have to work their asses off just to even be able to pay for these things in the first place. Like I said, people are out there working over 40 plus hours a week. And even after all those long hardship hours that people are putting into their work, because people are working their asses off. Even after all that hard, grueling work, people still cannot live comfortably. People still cannot save their money because literally most of their salaries goes on rent and grocery. People are literally living paycheck to paycheck. And that's a very big concern for me. And talking about inflation once again is, if inflation was lowered down to the point where things were more affordable and more cheaper, then if you take care of one problem, then you more effectively take care of the other. Because the reason why inflation and rent are such bad things these days is because both problems are coexisting and making it worse for people who are dealing with these problems. You've got high inflation and high renting cost. So people are paying a fuck ton of money just for basic survival necessities. And you've got to pay lots of money for rent, high rent, and then you've got high inflation. Now, if the feds or the government or whoever the fuck, if they were able to curb inflation to the point where things were more affordable, like groceries and things like that, you've got one thing that's more affordable, and then you've got rent, which still may be expensive, but it would definitely ease the burden that is on most people in this country. Honestly, I feel like we're already living in a dystopian reality, or a dystopian society, whatever you want to call it, because all these big corporations that are making way more money in a single day than the middle class do in a 40-hour week-long work schedule, it just really shows you that all these big corporations, they truly are in control of everything. Because like I just said, all these big corporations, they're making a shit ton of money. They still are. They will make more money in a single day than someone who is working 40 plus hours in a week. And that says a lot about how this country really works. I mean, it's basically just corporate America in a nutshell, because corporate America has always been like that, and corporate America will continue to be like that unless the government steps in or someone steps in to try and make things a bit more easier for the struggling Americans of this country. And I know that some people may not think that Americans are struggling. Some people may call it a hoax. Some people may say that, well, I'm not struggling. It's just these people struggling because they're just making bad decisions. Okay, I understand that. I understand that some jobs pay more than others. And I understand that some people may live in more affordable states. But that doesn't change the fact that a lot of people are struggling for things that they should not be struggling for. No one should have to struggle to pay rent. No one should have to struggle just to go to the grocery store and bring food home every single day after they get home from work. That right there is something that no one should have to struggle with. And there was once a time in this country where people didn't have to struggle with things like that, because there was once time where this country was actually good. Everything was good. I know we had economic problems in the past, and we always have, but it's definitely better than what it currently is now. Because right now, things are significantly worse than they've ever been. There may not be no Great Depression, sure, but who say that might not happen in the near future? Because it sure as looks like we're about to get to the Great Depression again. It looks like we're about to get to the sequel to the Great Depression, because it looks like we're heading that way again. And we all know that history has a very large tendency of repeating itself whenever it gets the chance to, especially when it comes to how countries work and how people run those countries. And the way the people are running this country, it's definitely not very good. Because inflation is still very high, things are too expensive, and too many Americans are struggling. I mean, like I said, people are out there working over 40 hours a week. That's such hard work that people got to do. And people may be making their money, sure. They may be making money. They might be paying for their rent, and they may be paying for their grocery every single day or every couple of days when they need grocery, but the cost is too high. It's much too high. The fact that people don't even have barely any money left in their salary after paying off everything that they need to, it's insane. It's sad, and it's something that just shouldn't be. And then you've got other people like students who, just graduated from college, and now they've got debt. They got debt they got to pay. These people, these young people, they haven't even gotten a job yet, and they're already in debt because of college. And you think, I'm going to go to college because of that? Fuck no, I ain't about to put myself in debt. The fact that I already know about all these things, I know for a fact that if I put myself in debt, then I will end up just like everyone else who is struggling these days. And I don't want that. But to be honest, it's why I'm worried, because I know I'm going to struggle just like all these people, because that's just how the economy works right now. And it shouldn't. Rent is too high, and so is inflation. And then you've got other things like bills. Because besides that, you've also got to pay for things like, you've got a light bill, you've got lights, heating, you've got a phone bill, you've got an internet bill, and then you've got more important things like insurance. You've got car insurance, and then you've got health insurance. And we all know that the health insurance in this country is an absolute joke. People these days can sometimes pay over $600 a month for insurance bills. And then you've got insurance companies that won't even pay for some basic things. I mean, I was reading this article that said that people these days are not even going to doctor's appointments anymore because they can't afford it. Because these days, since insurance companies don't want to pay for things that people need when it comes to their health, people then have to pay out of pocket. So meaning that people pay even more money than they're already paying. Because of course, besides the inflation and the high rent cost, then you've also got insurance. Your health insurance is probably going to cost you around $400 to $600 a month, right? So that's another hefty lot of money right there, because obviously $600 is still a lot of money, $600, $500, sometimes even $700. Now you've also got to pay out of pocket as well, because your insurance company won't pay for literally everything. Which is obviously a problem, because what the fuck is an insurance company supposed to do for health insurance? What is a health insurance company supposed to do exactly if not to pay for your health problems or things that you need to fix your health problems? I mean, thank God that my health insurance still pays for my insulin, because if not, then I would be fucked. But then you've got other people out here who have worse health problems than I do, and their insurance companies don't even want to pay for it. So instead, they've got high hospital bills, and they got to pay out of pocket, and they still got to pay for their insurance at the end of the month. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. Correct me if I'm wrong. And even if I am wrong, about that, I'm still pretty right about it at the same time, because that's pretty much how it works. Even if I'm a bit off, okay? Even if I'm a bit off of what I just said, that's still pretty much how it works. Even if I'm a bit off. Anyways, I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, there are things in this country that I am seeing that just really has me concerned. And it has me very concerned for not only my fellow Americans, but also for myself. The last thing I want to talk about is the housing crisis. So since rent is already extremely high, now you've also got homes that cost way too much. I mean, you have homes out there in this country that cost so much money. People would have to work, like with their jobs, people would have to work over 10 years just to be able to afford a fraction of what most homes cost these days, because homes are extremely unaffordable. I mean, why do you think renting is so high right now? Because people cannot even afford to buy a fucking house anymore. That's why renting has gotten so high, because of high demand, because people literally have nowhere else to go. That's why you see so many people living in apartments and condos, because they have nowhere else to go. They can try and rent a house, for example, but renting a house is obviously even more expensive than renting an apartment, which is also really expensive right now. So it's a lose-lose scenario either way you look at it. So you've got high inflation, that's nice. You've got high interest rates, that's even better. You've got insurance that won't pay for everything, that's just even better. This is such a great fucking country. And now you've got this as well. Unaffordable rent, unaffordable housing, and unaffordable inflation. Even going to the movies these days is too expensive. Even trying to do something fun these days, even trying to distract yourself from how miserable life can be, is too much fucking money these days. It'll cost you over $300 to go to fucking Universal Studios these days. But yeah, I don't know what else to say anymore. This country is a fucking failure. The people who are in charge of this country are not doing enough to solve this country's problems, because these are not small problems, ladies and gentlemen. These are problems that are causing people out there to struggle just for basic things for survival. If people cannot even afford fucking groceries anymore and rent and bills, then what do you think it's going to be like in the next couple of years if the economy continues to get worse and these assholes who are running this country don't continue to do anything about it? Because they're fucking not. Gerard, whatever the fuck his name is, Gerard Powell, whatever the fuck his name is, he can continue with all his little Fed friends. He can continue to raise interest rates all the fuck he wants. But in the long run, I don't think it's going to reduce inflation. I don't think it's going to fix inflation. The government needs to step in and they need to fix one of these problems. We need to make things more affordable. Either health insurance or tame inflation or rent. As a matter of fact, why not do all those things? It was like that before. Why can't it be like that again? I don't understand. This country was once affordable for everyone. There was once a time where people would love to come to America. People would be dying to come to America because this was literally known as a land of opportunity, a land of freedom, a place where you can make dreams come true. The American dream itself. What happened? I guess time happened. I guess everything falls apart in the end, even the things that are good. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about what life is currently like here in the great land of opportunity. Opportunity, my fucking ass. If you guys stuck by till the end, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next discussion video. Take care, y'all. Peace.